Hey y'all, thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Peace Podcast. This is season 2, episode 20. Just give me burdens to blessings, whatever that looks like. And so I landed on this one. It's my birthday week. And so I thought, what better way to share about year 41 than to talk to you about one of the greatest lessons that I learned from 41 to 42. And that lesson is really in how to view the blessings instead of the burdens. And so when you think about your children, sometimes because you're consistently doing things for them and they consistently need something from you, sometimes we shape our thinking and our vision of them around the burden that we have to carry as the title that we are to them. So if I'm your mom, there's this burden mentality behind it where it's like, I have to do all of these things for you. And then I think, you know, those people who may have had to go through IVF and those people who may have had to experience a time where they had great loss when they were trying to conceive, and how those people would be able to view their children as blessings because they prayed for them and they didn't expect to be able to have them. And so how that little mindset shifts, and that's not to say that if you feel like your title places burdens on you, that you're doing something wrong. It's just saying that when you look at that, oftentimes you can resonate with the fact that it requires so much from you more than you can resonate with the blessings. And so when I think about what I learned about changing burdens to blessings, it makes me think about also how there were a plethora of years of my life where I would walk through life and some sort of tragedy would happen, some sort of burden would be placed on me. And based on that, I would go to God and pray. And I would say, this thing is happening to me. The weight is heavy. I want to hand it over to you, and go through the whole process of praying because I felt weighted down by what I was experiencing in my life. And my relationship with God was very much predicated on that. It was very much predicated on the fact that I went to him when I was experiencing tragedy, and based on that, I would pray to him. And then I would experience something else, and then I would pray to him. And so what ended up happening was I would consistently be looking for the tragedy, and the tragedy lens would be the lens that I look through life from. And so I would consistently feel close to him, but it was through the tragedies that I would experience that I was able to have that relationship with him. I was able to be heavy in prayer, etc. But then in year 41, I learned what happens when you aren't experiencing those heavy tragedies. What happens when you want your relationship to be close to God, but you feel like you created this almost like toxic relationship with Him where you can't be close to Him, you can't feel close to Him because your natural inclination is to draw nearer to Him when you're going through negative experiences, but you don't really know how to include him in your everyday travels when you're not experiencing those negative things. And so I just want to take you on a very short journey through what happened when I started to think about the fact that I had created that relationship with him. Think about the fact that I had created that mindset about life, that I only knew how to push through to survive. Like I didn't really know how to walk through an experience where there was peace and thrive in it. And I was addicted to that chaos, the highs and the lows, and the consistently going to him to plead with him instead of going with him to be pleasing to him. And so, what ended up happening was in year 41, I started out the year with a breakup, and that breakup was the catalyst for that breakup was a 31 day of prayer that I participated in through the Girl I See You movement. And we prayed every single day. And in those prayers, I kept getting messages about how, I was supposed to leave that relationship. And I had known for a good 6 months prior that I should have left, but I stayed because, tenacity. And so once I let go of that relationship, I started to notice that after I healed, which was a much quicker process than it had been in the past because I knew how to heal. But after I healed, I was able to notice that I wasn't going to God as much and I didn't like it. So then I was like, well, do I need tragedy? Do I need chaos in my life to pray and to self assess and to, you know, strengthen that soul connection with Him? And the answer was yes, I did, because I was so addicted to the highs and lows that I had created that pattern with Him where, and it's funny because even in those experiences, I would tell myself, oh my gosh, I don't want to keep living this life. I just want to be close to God and not have to, continue to experience these type of situations and the stress and the chaos. And I just want peace. But then when I got it, I didn't know how to navigate it with Him because I had never had to do that before. I had never experienced that before. And so I started to go to Him and say, I don't really have anything to talk to you about. So I'm just going to tell you like what I'm thankful for. Or I might have, experienced something with my kids that day and prayed to Him about that thing. But I still felt farther away from Him because I was like, when I was experiencing those things, I was closer to Him because it was a daily like begging and genie in a bottle type of situation where I was, telling Him, requesting things from Him and telling Him, if you do this for me, negotiating with Him, then I'm going to live this life type of situation. And so I started to uncover that the way to heal that and the antidote for that was really to experience the heart of gratitude, much like I was telling you about the being a mom thing. Because I had navigated this life placing my burdens on Him, but I also had to scour my life to find the burdens. And that was the foundation of our relationship. I scoured to find the burdens. I handed the burdens over to Him, and that was my connection with Him. But what happens when you don't feel like you have those same burdens? Now, obviously, I still have my perfectionism that I'm working through, and I still have a child custody case with my youngest that's really a struggle on a daily basis. But I've found peace inside of me and inside of Him, so those things don't affect me the same way. And so, how do I create a relationship with Him where it's not predicated on those things, but that it's just a daily relationship that doesn't need chaos in order for it to thrive? And because I hadn't experienced those relationships in the natural, it was kind of difficult for me to experience them in the spiritual until I started doing this. So when I would wake up in the morning, I would say, it was a blessing to wake up because not everybody got to wake up this morning. And I would look for the Him in everything. So if my kids would be arguing, I would say this is an opportunity to teach them how to collaborate. If I would be, struggling with eating disorder tendencies, I would say this is an opportunity to be able to navigate towards something healthy. If you're not tempted to go back to the thing, then you're never going to know how strong you are to be able to do it the healthy way. And so then, there were struggles inside of, the child support and the court order and all of these things. And I looked for them as an opportunity for me to show how I had changed and been molded into the person that I am. But I also was able to see that in order to create that healthy relationship with God, I first had to determine like how did I create that healthy relationship with me, because it took me a minute to get there too. And so some of the things that I did were to give myself grace. And so I found grace in every day, and I found His grace to be able to absorb that on me. So instead of thinking, oh my God, I can't believe I made that mistake, I would say, thank you for your grace. Like, I'm grateful for your grace for another day to be able to do this differently. And so I started to see him in the sunrise. I started to see him in my daily commute because he got me there safely. Instead of navigating toward being frustrated about how much traffic there was, I could navigate toward being grateful that he had gotten me to my destination safely. And so after doing that for a period of days and then weeks and then months, it became a habit. So but the interesting thing about that is that while it became a habit, I still felt a distance from God. And so I really started to like question, why does that exist still? And I went back to my research of self, which is my inventory that I take of me. And I thought about when I felt distant from my partner or distant from my parents or distant from, someone who I was really close to, what was usually happening in that space. And what I uncovered was that because I had been in such chaotic environments, that when chaos didn't exist, I didn't feel as close to the person. So I would either create chaos, or much of the time I was with somebody who did enough of that I didn't have to. And so I would wait for the next chaotic moment to feel that tinge of love and like devotion from the other person. And it was because I was so used to that dance, that pattern of being. And so I had to really sit with myself and say, well, God doesn't operate that same way. And your perception of love has been so tainted for so long that you're expecting that there has to be chaos in order for you to draw closer to Him. But what are you going to do when you've desired peace and you've asked for peace and He's shown you how to have peace inside of you and how to have peace with Him and how to be so in an alignment with that peace that the external doesn't create chaos for you? How are you going to be close to Him when you're experiencing that? And so when I really sat with myself, what I figured out was that I could draw near to Him at any moment. So I could say, thank you for this sunrise. It's a beautiful sunrise, and order my steps today because I surrender to you and want to follow you. And that was drawing me closer to Him. And even though I didn't feel it in the moment, because healthy love didn't feel right to me, healthy love didn't feel natural to me because I had been so accustomed to experiencing what toxic love looked like, that I placed those same characteristics on my relationship with God. And so the further I got into it in year 41, the more I started to understand that I had to trade my burdens in for blessings. Instead of filtering through the lens of what's the burden that I can lay at His feet, I started filtering through the lens of what's the blessing in this that I can be grateful for. And once I latched on to that and really started to practice it every single day, and then went to the place where I told you that I looked at my inventory and self-assessed why that still didn't feel like closeness. That's when I was able to heal my perception of love and heal my relationship with Him, because I had placed those human characteristics on Him, that His love my life had to be chaotic for His love to be real, that I had to be experiencing a rock bottom in order for Him to pull me out. When in that journey through life, I was missing the fact that you can delight in Him and be joyful in Him while experiencing your everyday walk, when you see the blessings and you go to Him with gratitude because of those blessings. And so I really just wanted to share that with you guys, because if there was a lesson that I could pull out of year 41 as we're sliding into my birthday week, which is my birthday's on Saturday. So you're going to get some messages this week about some things that I've gathered and learned in year 41 before 42 actually hits. But if there were one lesson that I could pull out of it for you to glean from me, it would be that. It would be that when I traded my burdens in for blessings, I started to understand how a closeness with God can still exist inside of spaces where you're not in rock bottom and you're experiencing abundance, which is my word of the year, when you just determine and resolve that you're going to see the blessings and be grateful for them every single day. And I don't want you to think that that doesn't mean that I don't still have trials and tribulations, because I still have trials and tribulations. I still see, hurt and turmoil in my life. But because he blessed me with the ability to be able to be internally peaceful, those things don't land inside of me the same way. So, because I have absorbed that lesson and I'm taking it with me wherever I go, I had to learn a new way to be close with God. And in that journey, have learned that that closeness is what healthy love looks like. It's what healthy love looks like in the natural, and it's what love looks like in the spiritual. And from that, I've learned that someone doesn't have to show you chaos in order to love you, that you don't have to experience chaos in order to draw nearer to God, and that your life can be one of peace and abundance and gravitation toward more peace while still having those conversations with God from a space of gratitude. I really go to him most often saying the words, what's the opportunity inside of this? What are you trying to grow inside of me here? And most recently, there were some things that happened in my 9 to 5, and, I was frustrated and I felt unseen. But even in those spaces, I said, I feel unseen, but what are you trying to show me? What do you want me to see? Because I could still see that his plan is greater than what I think the plan should be, and his ways are greater than what I think the way should be. And so if I keep going to him with that gratitude and thanking him for where I am and what I'm experiencing, he starts to more um obviously show me what's the lesson, what's the blessing, and where are you supposed to be going. And I don't know about you, but I would much rather him order my steps that way than for me to experience years of turmoil to finally learn what he was trying to pull me through. So if I could teach you anything about my year 41, that would be it. Turn in your burdens for blessings. Don't feel like you can only connect with God when something tumultuous is happening in your life, but yet connect with him every single day about every single thought, emotion, action that's happening in your life. Because even if he doesn't give you an answer, even if he doesn't give you a next step, even if there's not something that he can give to you in that space, it's an opportunity for you to give gratitude for where he has brought you to and how he has changed, shaped, and molded you to be able to navigate your world in such a way that you don't need turmoil and chaos to be able to experience more of him. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that that lesson was helpful for you. Remember that if you listen to this message and you don't share it, it's kind of selfish. So if you know somebody who you think would benefit from this message, please share it with them. Like and subscribe to the page to get more messages like this. And remember that I only share my testimony so that you don't have to experience bondage for as many years as I did. I'm trying to be the me that I wish that I had whenever I was going through those things. So I appreciate you guys. Thank you for tuning in every week, and I will see you again next week.